So we also went to VIOFO's headquarters and we had about 27 questions we asked them. However, I don't know if I can even answer half of them. Some of the confidential information they gave us was actually overwhelming. I was actually very surprised. I will tell you this, the releases happening this year, you're gonna be blown away. That's all I can say. Be prepared. And you probably already know, if you've seen our channel, this will be coming out soon, the brand new A329S. But needless to say, let's start answering some of those questions you asked. We asked VIOFO, are you going to be removing this noise filter that every technician out there hates? And we managed to work with them, but we also hear customers and people in the community always talking about. Now, VIOFO did say they've been testing, and this will eventually be getting removed on future wiring harnesses. So we're going to see here, I'm guessing there'll be a production line change in the near future once they're done testing. But lo and behold, in the future, this thing's going to be disappearing. So if you're a technician and you hate this little noise filter that's in the way, guess what? It's going to be going away in the future. We also asked VIOFO if they can remove this low voltage protection that's always hidden under the dash. It'd be nice to have that accessible or have the dash camera be able to change that. They did tell us they have been doing some testing on this for some time. Now, whether or not we'll see that in the future or not, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But that is something that we brought up to them, especially as technicians. We'd love to have this go away. I prefer to have it changed through the actual dash camera. It makes it a lot easier and also makes it easier for customers, because some customers might be like, hey, I'm worried 12 volts is too low. I'd like to digitally change it to, like, say 12.2 volts. You know, maybe my car dealer recommended me having a higher voltage shut off, right? So, you know, to have that change, instead of the customer being, it's hidden under my dash and I have no control over this. So something to hopefully look forward to. I really would like to see them change this. And they did say they have been doing some testing, so maybe something new to look forward to in the future. Everyone wants to know whether VIOFO will have an LTE or cloud plan dash camera. Now, we did talk to them, and our personal opinion is very low adoption in people using LTE or cloud plans. Now, they didn't say that they're not testing it. They have been testing for some time. Whether or not they release one to market is a completely different thing, because it's not as simple as just releasing a dash camera with a SIM card built in. You need to have a whole back end built, which means now you have to have like a software engineer, or you need to have someone who already knows how to build that back end. And Blackview has done a great job of actually focusing on fleets and building a proper cloud plan. ThinkWare's also working on some stuff as well, but it doesn't mean that VIOFO's not going to release it. But personally, I don't think it's a priority to them, because they know it's a very low portion of the market that are actually adapting these features. Now, maybe you don't like what I'm saying right now, and that's completely fine, but we have to look at it. I mean, when we install like 100 dash cameras, we probably have less than 1% of people that actually are using the LTE or cloud plan in a dash camera. Most customers just want to install it in the vehicle. They want it to work independently and not have to worry about that. Does VIOFO conduct random quality assurance tests? Well, believe it or not, we did go and walk through the factory, and we did see that there was a lady who was taking every single VIOFO dash camera and she was powering them up to verify. So they already were in the box. She takes them out of the box and powers them up and makes sure that it actually turns on and pushes a bunch of buttons, especially on the actual screen, not on the screen, but the buttons underneath the screen, and verifies that they're actually responding, and then repacks it back up inside the box before it comes to you, the end customer. So rest assured, they do test all the products. Heat dissipation. Yes, VIOFO does have a heat chamber, and we did witness the heat chamber, and they put dash cameras in there and they do rigorous heat tests as well to verify whether or not the dash camera will fail at certain heat temperatures. So they do have the equipment in order to test everything on site, and they are doing random tests in order to do that, which is great. Because I imagine that there's probably some dash camera manufacturers out there that don't even have a heat chamber in order to actually verify that. They probably just go to a line and say, hey, we like this one, go and build this product here. You can probably think of some of those brands that we see on Amazon where, like, why is it that these 7 different brands all look the same and they all have different name brands on them? Those are probably all just picked off a line. And I imagine that nobody's taking those, putting them in a heat chamber, and actually verifying whether or not they work properly. SD card compatibility. Wow, this is definitely a sore spot with people who want to buy the VIOFO dash cameras. And it is also a sore spot for us here at Safe Drive Solutions, because typically we only support the VIOFO SD card. And the reason why we do is because, first off, it was one of the highest quality SD cards that we have tested on the market. And the other reason why is because we know that VIOFO stands by it. So we don't want any of our customers having any challenges, and reliability is a huge issue with dash cameras. So we want to support them. Now, we did see why. I mean, I went into this room at VIOFO that had probably about 500 dash cameras being tested at all times. You know, it had A129 Pros, it had 229 Pros, A329s, you know, you name it, the dash camera was in there. And even some future ones that they're also working on developing, they have in there. Now, one particular section probably had about 100 dash cameras, and honestly, I'm not even over exaggerating. And Bill basically told us that that whole section was dedicated to testing new SD cards. Some of these SD cards weren't even available on the market yet, or they were new and upcoming SD cards, and these manufacturers are always constantly sending to them. So they're actually doing what's called age testing. So they're running these things night and day to see, are we seeing any shutdowns where the dash camera fails? Are we seeing any other challenges with that SD card? So they are testing it. They are trying to find other SD cards, and that's why VIOFO doesn't have a whole lot of compatibility, unfortunately, with SD cards. But they are testing it and they are verifying it. So don't be, I know people get upset, like, I really want to have other ones, but they are doing their due diligence and testing it. And believe it or not, I did see it. Now, I wish they would allow us to record there so I could have shown you just how in depth they are doing with all this testing. But, you know, we did respectfully understand that they don't want us to record in their manufacturing facility. Is there a plan to make the dash camera mount lockable? Because as we've seen, there's been a bunch of videos where people are hitting dash cameras with hammers. I will tell you this, Ted and I have never seen a dash camera fall off the windshield, and we do like thousands of dash cameras every year. So we're not really sure. I mean, we see people hitting with hammers. It's completely different how your vehicle is built. And honestly, I totally understand that there are people who want lockable mounts. What VIOFO did tell us is in some future models, they are going to have a lockable mount. On the current models that are going to be releasing this year, there is no plans for a lockable mount at this time, but in future generations, they are looking at a lockable mount. But you have to understand that you can't just like pull this, like flick, you know, snap your fingers and boom, you know, we have a lockable mount. You have to do extensive testing. You have to make sure there isn't other issues as a result of this lockable mount. Did we see a lockable mount? No. But they did tell us this is something that they are working on, was developing a lockable mount for future generations of dash cameras. Will there be over-the-air firmware updates? Yes. Yes. So what we got told was there's supposed to be a new app launching. They're hoping in May, but don't quote me on this. And that with that new app, it will also be supporting over-the-air firmware updates. So fear not, you don't have to take your SD card out, put it in your computer anymore. There will be firmware updates in the future on the future VIOFO app. Are there any changes to address shipping and customs concerns for Canada? Well, at this point in time, everybody's wondering about tariffs, but there's no tariffs that are affecting Canada at this point in time. Unless the Canadian government feels like randomly changing something to start tariffing Chinese goods. Currently, there's nothing going on. That is all between the United States and China. We're not seeing anything on our side at Safe Drive Solutions when we import products in directly from China. So at this point in time, there's absolutely nothing affecting how we do business in Canada. Are there any changes in mind to address SD card compatibility and SSD support? Now, we already talked about SD card compatibility earlier, so please refer to that portion of the video. In terms of SSD support, there was an actual firmware update that literally just came out since before we recorded this video that was supposed to have more SSD support and reliability. When using approved SD cards of 256 and 512 gigabyte, it can take upwards of 20 to 30 seconds sometimes for the camera to load. And it was actually asking about specifically why does it take that? And that's because of the amount of data that's actually in the SD card. Now, we have seen this quite frequently where it will take time, especially sometimes when people want to use low quality SD cards. And sometimes even with the VIOFO SD cards, we have seen where it can take upwards of 20 seconds to load. And that's just mainly because of the amount of data that's on that SD card. It will take a while. And I know occasionally people asked us, will a 1 terabyte work? We did ask VIOFO this. Will a 1 terabyte SD card work? And they said, well, it can, but it'll take like a minute to load. So that's why we supported SSD, because it's quicker load time. And now we're not limiting the customer to 1 terabyte. You can now get up to 4 terabytes of support on an SSD. And to be honest with you, spending the amount of money you would for a 1 terabyte SD card doesn't really make sense when you can actually get a 4 terabyte SSD. And I mean, I can get a 1 terabyte SSD for less money than a 1 terabyte SD card. Plus, I can take the SSD out, a lot easier and still have an SD card in the unit so that my dash camera can fully operate while I'm checking the SSD. Now, it's completely up to you on what you want, but the other problem is a lot of the 1 terabyte SD cards are also not that reliable. Keep in mind, you're taking the micro SD card, which, just trying to find one here, but you're basically taking the micro SD card, which is limited by size, and you're trying to now jam in 1 terabyte of storage into the same size card. And that's what people aren't really thinking about. You only have so much space in the micro SD card, and we're actually going to be taking this and jamming it to now have 1 terabyte of storage. And that's why there's so many challenges, because this card is the same size for 32 gig, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1 terabyte. Now, don't you think when you're limited by space, you're going to end up having challenges as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger? And that actually fully makes sense to me. And that's why they went the SSD route on the A329 series of dash cameras. I hope you enjoyed this video of answering the questions that you asked on VIOFO dash cameras that we brought directly to them. If you do have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, please pay attention. We are going to be releasing a lot of new video footage very soon, especially on the A329S and other future upcoming dash cameras from many of the other brands that we actually carry. And if you are looking to support us at all, we are in Greater Vancouver and Greater Toronto, and we do offer professional dash camera installation as well as selling products directly on our website on safedrivesolutions.com. Thanks again.